What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Hey, we're going to continue into our Love Is series. My name's Tyler, in case you're new here and you're checking us out. I'm the next generation pastor, so I oversee you guys. I oversee the students, and I love working with you guys. How many of you guys are still like exhausted from like yesterday? So if in case you don't know what's going on, we had a lock-in a couple. I admitted from the very beginning on Friday when I was speaking, I was like, man, I hate lock-ins. I still hate lock-ins. And I think you guys are probably sitting there going, I hate lock-ins right now too, because you're exhausted. And then next year will come along and you're like, I love lock-ins. I want to do a lock-in again. And then afterwards you're like, I hate lock-ins, because everyone's just exhausted and tired, and you'd much rather just sleep in your own bed and have it happen. You know what? Maybe that's what we should change it to. Let's just start it earlier. Start it at 6, go till like midnight, and then call it good. Huh? You're already planning the new plan? Okay, good, because if I can get some sleep, I'll be happy about that. So, or if you want to split a guy's section and a girl's section, we go sleep in those sections, I'm cool with that too. But, so, we are in the middle of our Love Is series. This Love Is series, can you drop this mic down a little bit? It's feeding back a little bit. Our Love Is series is all about how we love other people well, and how we encourage people, how we build people up. And we talked a little bit about relationships, but it's not really about relationships. Our Love Is series, we are more focusing on how we love God, how we love other people, just friends or even enemies, how we love other enemies or our enemies, how we love, what else? We've talked about how do we love our parents well? We love them well by respecting them during the series. And so it's really important stuff to know how we can love other people. So I'm going to pray, and then we'll get into this. Father God, thank you so much just for this group that's here. I just pray that as we talk about what love is, that you speak to us, that you help us know how we can be better friends, how we can be better people who just build others up. So we love you, Jesus, and we pray this in your name. Amen. So have any of you guys ever hung out with a friend for a whole day? You spend the whole time together, you're really excited about it, and then after the day was over, you part ways, and you feel like you had no connection with them throughout that day. It just kind of fell flat, and you just felt like your time that you spent together was just like dull, boring, you didn't feel filled up, and something was missing, and you guys just didn't feel the love for each other. Have any of you guys been there before? You were really excited to hang out with a friend, and then just like, that sucked. I've been there. I went backpacking with one of my buddies, and we decided, hey, let's just go together. Like, this will be a really good time for us to just spend together. And so we went backpacking, and by the end of the trip, we were annoyed with each other. We couldn't wait to get back home just so we could be on our own and not have to worry about each other, because we weren't actually investing and encouraging each other. And I think each of us are very unique individuals. We all are very different from each other. And we are all created differently, and that's specifically designed by God. 1 Peter 4:10 says, and it'll be up here, God has given each of you a gift from his great variety of spiritual gifts. Use them well to serve one another. So one thing that I want to pick out here, we are all very different from each other. We all have different gifts, different talents. But what he's saying is use all those to serve and give to one another. Within that diversity, there's going to be unity because we're using that diversity to serve others. And one way that we're different is in the way that we speak. We speak in languages. We talk in languages. And so we were created with different languages from the Tower of Babel. Do any of you guys know about the story of the Tower of Babel? Okay, the Tower of Babel, what ends up happening is there's this community, and they're trying to build this tower towards God because their goal is to reach God, to be more like God, and they would become more powerful. But God didn't like that because their hearts were in the wrong spot, and so he wanted to stop them. So in that moment, he created them to have different languages. And they start to talk to each other, and they can't understand each other because they all have different languages now. And so because of this, communities start to form and spread across the world, and they disperse from that area because they didn't want to be around the people who they couldn't understand. So everyone had different languages, and they started life on their own. And so today, does anybody know how many languages there are in this world? Anybody have a guess? About? Over what? Over 100. What else? Yes, I will say yes, you are right. You're far from right, but you're still right. No way. Over, closer. All right. Anybody have an idea? Because you know Spanish and English. Mid 300. Do you know, Stephen? Yes, good. Okay, cool. All right, there are 6,500 languages. 6,500 languages around, and that's crazy to me. 2,000 of those are spoken by less than 1,000 people. 2,000 of those languages, there's less than 1,000 people that speak those languages, which is crazy. Because a lot of them are little tribes that are hidden in different areas within like South America or all these other places, I don't know, Africa, Asia. So not only did God create languages to speak verbal languages, he created different gifts, he created different talents, he created different likes, different dislikes. And today, I want to talk about how God created us each individually different in the way that we express and receive love. And there's a study done by this guy named Gary Chapman, who is a licensed psychologist. So he studies all these people and how they interpret things. And he did a lot of marriage and relationship counseling. And he noticed that people expressed and received love differently. While one could be expressing in love, the other may not be receiving in love because they speak different languages when it comes to the love that they share. So when he noticed the difference, he started to take a deep dive into what it may be, and his studies realized that there were 5 love languages. 5 love languages. And these 5 languages are the way that people express and they receive love. Express and receive. So if you're high on one love language, that's how you're going to receive language. If someone does that for you, you're going to receive it well. But that's also the one that you're naturally going to express when you're trying to express love towards someone else. And not only does this happen just in relationships, but he noticed that it starts to happen in kids. And he started to notice that you can parent your kid well by expressing their love language towards them. And so then he started noticing that every single person has some sort of love language, and it looks different for every person in how they receive and how they give love, or how they naturally give love. Friendships have love languages. Parents have love languages. And basically everyone loves to receive love. We all love to receive love from other people. But each person connects in a different way. So this last week, we talked about loving your neighbor as yourself. This guy comes up to Jesus and says, hey, the greatest commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And she's like, yes. And he goes, well, who is my neighbor then? And Jesus is like, well, then he tells a story, the Good Samaritan. This guy gets robbed, and he gets beaten up, and he's left half dead. And he used the Samaritan, the hated Samaritan. The Jewish people didn't like the Samaritans. He used the Samaritan as the hero of the story who did express love. And he helped the guy, and he took care of him. The guy who was supposed to be the enemy ended up becoming the hero of the story. So Jesus says we must love our neighbor as ourselves, which includes our enemies. And so it's hard to love our enemies, but it's easy to love our close friends, right? But Jesus says, no, you need to love your enemies. But when we're talking about our close friends, I think it's important for us to understand how we need to show love to our close friends and how we can make those close friends better friends by the way that we love them. So everyone needs love, and the word love, it gets really confusing because we talk about this. Like I was meeting with the 7th grade guys. Are there any of the 7th grade guys from this? None of the 7th grade guys are here. From you might be in 7th grade, but you weren't here on Wednesday when I was meeting with them. When I was talking, I was like, hey, what is love to you guys? And like, oh, relationship. Oh, I want a girlfriend. I'm like, no, bros. Like, I'm talking about like this brotherly love where we love each other. And like, I told them like, yeah, I have guys that like I'll call on the phone, and at the end I'll be, hey, love you, bro. Have a good one. Talk to you later. And they all go, that's weird. And I'm like, no, like that's because I love these guys. But I've learned a healthy love that it's not just about this like, oh, we don't say we love you to each other because that's inappropriate. That's weird. For middle schoolers, yes, that probably is. But really, as you get older, you understand the importance of, hey, this person means a lot to me, so I'm going to share, like, dude, I love you in a healthy way, in a good way. But I love you, bro. And so a lot of times the word love gets confusing, and we talk about, oh, I love my parents, or I love my siblings, or maybe my girlfriend or my boyfriend. I love them. But it also gets mixed with saying, oh, I love street tacos. And I love this TV show on Netflix. But what ends up happening is love, the healthy love that we've been talking about, the agape love, the love that's unconditional, the love that just like, hey, you're awesome. I'm just going to express my love towards you as a brother or a sister in Christ. That type of love, everyone knows that love is essential in our emotional stability. None is more basic than the need for love and affection. The need to sense that he or she belongs is wanted. So everyone knows that it's important for a baby or a kid or a teenager to feel love because that's going to help them emotionally develop. With adequate supply of affection, a child will likely develop into a responsible adult. And there's a metaphor that says, inside every child is an emotional tank waiting to be filled with love. When a child really feels loved, it will develop normally. But when the love tank is empty, the child will misbehave. Much of the misbehavior of children is motivated by the cravings of an empty love tank. A lot of times, you guys might have a lot of friends who act out, and they're pretty rough around the edges. They're always misbehaving, always doing bad things. Well, a lot of times, it's because they're not getting the love that they need at home. Or they're not getting the love from areas that they need love. And so because of that, they are misbehaving and their emotional stability has weakened. So how many of us understand, like, yeah, I got a love tank. I've talked about my love tank. I need that filled up from people. Anybody heard that before? Love tank. So we all have love tanks in us that need to be filled up. And when that's filled up, then we can grow to be healthy. And if we all want our love tank filled up, I think our friends do as well. So if you have a love tank, I want you to be think about yourself. I have a love tank, but that also means that all my friends sitting to my left and to my right now have a love tank as well. And they need to be filled up, and mine needs to be filled up, and we need to be loving towards one another. And so to love our neighbor as ourselves, we need to figure out how to fill our friends' love tank. Because if you have friendships that are healthy, you pour into one of them, or you pour into your friend, and their love tank gets filled up without any selfish desire. Because what will end up happening is you're giving towards them because they need their love tank filled up, and like, hey, you're a good friend to me. I'm going to fill you up. You are awesome. I want to spend time with you. I want to serve you. I want to give you gifts. I want to like give you hugs when I see you. That's an emotional love tank that's being filled up. But when you are naturally pouring your love into someone else and filling up their love tank, they're going to be filled up, and so they're going to give it back to you. And the love I'm talking about is a sincere love. It truly cares about your friends. Not a love that's just like, oh, I'm just going to do whatever I want. It's a selfish love. No, it's a love that is sincere, that is really reaching out towards those who need it. Romans 12, 9 and 10 says, don't just pretend to love others, really love them. Hate what is wrong, hold tightly to what is good. Love each other with genuine affection, and take delight in honoring each other. This is why it's so important to know our friends' love languages so we can express love towards them. We all have different love languages that we connect and we feel filled up because. And if you're trying to speak a love language to them and it's not hitting them because you're speaking the wrong language, then it's they're not going to be filled up by you. And the time that they spend with you is just going to feel like a drain. And so I'm going to walk through the love languages. I don't have enough time to go through all 5, so we're going to do a part 2 next week. But part 1, I'm going to go through 2 of them, and then we'll finish it off next week. And so we're extending this series 1 more week just because it's a long topic to talk about. So number 1, love language is words of affirmation. Number 1, words of affirmation. Some of us in this room can live on for a long time with our love tank full based off of one good compliment. Some of us can go and feel so much confidence because we got one really good compliment. Proverbs 12 verse 25 says, worry weighs a person down, but an encouraging word cheers a person up. A word of affirmation, a word of encouragement can cheer a person up. These are verbal compliments or words of appreciation. They communicate love. It's a basic, straightforward statements of affirmation. Just ones that, hey, you look good in that shirt. Or I really like how talented you are at drawing. I wish I could be like that. I love how responsible you are. I can always count on you. Those types of things can mean a lot to someone who has the love language of words of affirmation. These are words that if someone has a strong words of affirmation of love language, they will feel loved by simply you saying that. Simply you just being positive and encouraging towards them. But the opposite is true too. You can tear someone down even more if they are words of affirmation and they receive words of division. And I think that's what kind of stinks about our society today, is that words of division are a natural thing for our society. Because so many times, how many of you guys have ever been joking with a friend? You're like, ha, 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 like they said something funny or something weird, and then you're like, you're so stupid. Like, any of you guys say that just jokingly? Like, you're so stupid. I know some of you guys have said that directly to me, and you're mean, and my feelings get hurt. But you naturally tear people down with your words, even to your best of friends. And you're not trying to mean it in a negative way. You're not trying to say, hey, you are stupid. You're just trying to joke. But it's so normal in our society to just take people down and tear them down just simply. And we don't take offense to it. I've been to Mexico a lot. And I have a lot of students who go down there and they joke and they start like, oh, tú eres estúpido, or tú es estúpido, which is you are stupid. And to us, it's like, oh, it's not a big deal, but because we're in America and that's just, we're just saying what we say, and that's what we say, and we can say stupido. But in Mexico, when I talk to our translators, like, oh yeah, you don't say that down here. That's inappropriate. That's really mean. In America, we've become so calloused to mean words. And we think that mean words aren't even that big of a deal. Proverbs 12 verse 18 says, there's one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, just hurting people. But the tongue of the wise brings healing. The tongue of the wise brings healing. The tongue of encouragement, a tongue of affirmation brings healing to people. Saying harsh words is actually a really big deal. We need to watch the way we respond to people, even if we're trying to joke. Many times our harsh words are also directed towards someone's insecurities. And we're in the middle of high school and middle school. We all have insecurities. And when a harsh word is said, most of the time it's directed at one of our insecurities. And a lot of times we might say something not even that big of a deal. We don't think it's that big of a deal, but it hurts and it cuts someone right to the heart. We don't even realize it. And insecurities are awaiting words of affirmation, not people cutting you down. If someone's struggling with insecurities, which I know middle school and high school is full of insecurities, what they need to be met with is words of affirmation, not words of cutting people down or being rash or being harsh with your words. Words of affirmation can get people through their insecurities so they can live up to their full potential. We need to always be loving with our words, and we can be especially loving towards those who need words of affirmation because their love languages is words of affirmation. We need to always be loving with our words to every single person, but especially to those who are words of affirmation and who need to hear it because it really helps build them up. You know what else matters in words of affirmation? It's not just what you say, but it's the tone that you say it. It's the manner in which you speak is exceedingly important. So if let's say it this way, you're like, you're really funny. Are they going to feel like they're actually funny? No, it's the tone of what you say it. But if you're like, you're so funny, like you're actually, but I'm faking it right now, it's still fake. But if you're actually like getting into it and like, oh, you're actually really funny, like I love hanging out with you because you're funny, like that's going to build them up. So your tone matters, the way you say it matters. If you say something nice in a bad tone, then the words of affirmation won't actually take. So you have to make sure that your tone is authentic, then your words can mean the world to them. Words of affirmation are words that are humble towards people. It's you're expressing love that's not expecting something in response. It's not requesting something. It's not demanding threats like, hey, I'm going to break up our friendship if you don't do this. That's not loving someone. So when you're demanding something from a friend, you're basically saying that you're above them and better than them, so that's unhealthy. When you demand things, then you don't actually become a friend. You're really a tyrant just trying to take over the friendship. And your friend will feel belittled. And if you threaten to cancel a friendship and you're threatening them because, like, I don't want to be your friend if you do this or do this, so don't ever backstab me. Well, they're going to be afraid of you. There's no point in having a friendship if one of you is afraid of each other. That's not true friendship. So your words must be humble. There are other ways to show words of affirmation as well. Try saying something positive. Try saying positive things about someone to others when that person is present, so they can see it, or affirm them in front of other people when they're in the presence. So if I start talking to Michael about how cool Izzy is over there, and I'm like up here like, dude, Izzy's so awesome. She's been awesome on the mission trip. She's going on 2 mission trips just because she has such a huge heart for people. Then that's going to build her up, because she's going to hear it, and she's going to be like, oh, like I'm not expressing it directly to her. Like I'll say it to her face too, but I'm saying it to other people about them, and maybe they're not even in the room, but they like, oh, I've heard all good things about you when they meet each other. That type of thing. That's another way of expressing words of affirmation. All right, so that's words of affirmation. I got just a couple more minutes to do quality time. Number 2 is quality time. This is another type of love language. This is a way that people connect with love and they feel loved. So quality time is giving someone your undivided attention. Undivided attention. It's not just doing something with someone. It's not just sitting and saying, hey, let's go watch Netflix together and let's watch a movie. And then boom, you're like, hey, we spent quality time together. We watched a Netflix show together. No, it doesn't work that way. It means coming together, actually talking with each other, getting to know each other, and spending time together, having good conversations while sharing a meal or sitting on the couch. Many times we seek to have deep friendships, but we don't want to spend the time to actually invest in the friendships. A lot of us want a best friend. How many of us are like, you know what, I really crave best friends, or I'm so thankful I have a best friend. We all want best friends, right? We all want someone to say, hey, they're my best friend. Well, we can't get that unless we actually spend the time to build into that. You have to take time and make them your best friend. So some examples of quality time that you can do is go to the beach together with a friend and just spend time having a good conversation while the sunset's going down. While the sun sets. Grab coffee together and just talk, or go grab lunch. Ask a friend about what God has been teaching them lately. You know who's really amazing at quality time, and this is how she connects with it, but she also gives it this way, is Kira. And as I'm investing into her through her internship, I'm also seeing how often she takes you guys out for coffee and gets to know you guys and really gets to know your heart, because she connects with quality time, and that's how she feels love, but that's also how she gives love towards other people. So she takes time to talk with you guys, to grab coffee, ask your friends about their day and sit down and actually truly listen to them. Guys, this is what a lot of times I've done with some of the guys that I've been friends with. I'll go and actually I'll be playing softball and I'll just play catch with them for a little bit, or play football with a football, and just back and forth, just throwing the ball, but we're talking the whole time, asking about life. We're doing something. So the activity that you do is a vehicle that creates the sense of togetherness. So The football is not the quality time. The football is the vehicle so that we can spend time discussing and having conversations together. The sunset at the beach is not the quality time. It's the vehicle that gets us to spend that quality time of talking and hanging out together. The attention needs to be on each other for quality time, and you can have great conversations while throwing the football back and forth, or while just talking and watching a sunset, and really understanding what's really going on in life. So now quality time is not just being in the same room as someone as well. A lot of times we can feel like, oh, I've hung out with them at church and I've been in the same room with them a bunch of times. Like, well, that doesn't mean you've spent quality time with them. A key ingredient is focused attention on quality time. You're needing to put the phone down, not have other things going around you. How many times have you've been with a group of friends, maybe your life group or whatever, or just the circle of friends, and you're all like wanting to spend time together, but then you look up and everyone's on their phone, including yourself. It happens all the time in our society today. Because a lot of times you can be in close proximity, but you really aren't actually spending real time together. Quality time means that you are doing something together and giving full attention on the other person and not distracted attention. There are different ways of showing quality times. It could be a quality conversation. This is where individuals are sharing their experiences, their thoughts, their feelings, desires in a friendly, uninterrupted context. This is where words of affirmation is different, though. Words of affirmation are you giving words, and it's what you're saying. Quality conversations and quality time are all about hearing. It's about listening. So when you're trying to express words of affirmation, you're going to give words. When you're trying to express quality time, you're going to take time to listen. It's where you ask questions so that you show that you have a genuine desire to get to know them and to understand their thoughts, their feelings, and their hopes. So how do we practice quality time? Here's a couple of them. Number 1, maintain eye contact with friends as they're talking. Number 2, don't listen to your friend and then also be doing something else at the same time. Just full attention on them. Number 3, listen for feelings. Not just what they say, but how are they feeling through it? When you actually get to the point of understanding the feelings and how they're expressing their feelings, that's when you can truly understand what they're going through and that you're receiving the quality time. This is where this comes through the tone. Number 4, observe body language. Understand, like, if they're with you and they're just, understand that something's going on. Hey, let's spend some time together. Help me understand more about what you're going through. And number 5, refuse to interrupt. Refuse to interrupt. A lot of times, man, when I'm in middle school, guys, small groups, they all love to talk, and they all love to talk on top of each other. I've noticed this with girls, too. Everyone does it, but middle school especially, like, everyone's trying to talk on top of each other because they want the attention. They don't take time to listen. So now you have the 2 love languages so far, okay? You have words of affirmation, you have quality time, and many of you are sitting here saying, yep, I have one of those, or I am both of those, or both of those are high on my list, and I feel loved, and I feel filled up, and my love tank gets filled up when I receive words of affirmation. Or my love tank is filled up when I spend really good quality time with a friend. That's good. You have one of those love languages. Some of you may understand that you may connect little with these 2, and that's okay, because next week we'll talk about the other 3, which are gifts, physical touch, and acts of service. So there's 3 other ways that you feel loved and feel filled up. So always remember that your friends all have a love tank that needs to be filled up. So try talking with your friends about what makes them feel like you care. What are things that you've done recently, and ask them about that. That's the reason why they want to be your friend. Say, hey, why do you want to be my friend? Like, what encourages you? Well, they can say, well, you're always like this, you're always like this. Well, okay, sweet, I'm going to keep doing that because that's what helps you feel filled up. And that's what we need to keep doing to show the love to the close friends around us.